One thing that we know is MAGA are such a thin-skinned bunch. And in this clip, we're literally going to see Keith Boykin completely shut down this MAGA bro, as well as shutting down someone who's usually on the right side of things when it comes to Donald Trump and MAGA and the state of the United States. All over a sentence that it is that presidential candidate, well, a lot of people wanting to be a candidate, Jon Ossoff said about Donald Trump. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts towards the end. Let's get into it.
A rising Democratic star is getting under MAGA's skin after picking a fight with President Trump over one of his closest aides.
And while the sailors on the Lincoln fight his war, while he fruitlessly drains our munitions and oil reserves, the president sleeps through his meetings. He golfs and trades stocks. See, he doesn't want to do the job. He wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace.
That was Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff name-dropping Trump's executive assistant, Natalie Harper. Harper has emerged as one of President Trump's most trusted personal aides who frequently travels with him. And when Trump secretly switched planes following a security threat last month, Harper was one of just a handful of aides who joined him. And as you can imagine, the White House lost it over Ossoff's comments. Trump's communications director called the senator the biggest cuck loser in politics. A White House spokesperson cast Ossoff as a cringeworthy feminine theater kid, and even Trump today weighed in.
Yesterday, Jon Ossoff said you'd rather travel with your aide, Natalie Harper, and build the ballroom than do your job as president. What is your response to Jon Ossoff?
You mean Pee Wee Herman? Pee Wee Herman lookalike? No, I would much rather do other things. We're building a great facility here. We're fixing a White House that hasn't been taken care of.
Stacey Schneider is with us at the table now. Now, Stacey, just a little primer for our audience. If you don't know who Natalie Harper is, she is what you call a personal aide. You follow the president around. You hand him. He needs a pen. You hand him a pen. He needs some tweets or something to put on social media. You hand him that. Here's what Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan wrote about her role. They say Harper wrote Trump adoring letters that she left in his personal spaces, including one that read, "You are all that matters to me." And Trump has taken to telling his staff that Natalie was the only one who loved him as much as his wife and kids. All of you will go off and make money, he would say. She'll never leave me. So that's the context. If you don't know, what do you make of Ossoff's comments and the reaction to it?
I think Ossoff went too far, actually. Trump has been known from the beginning of time, including his television show, his business at the Trump Organization, his involvement in beauty pageants. He always surrounds himself with attractive young women. And for somebody running for office to make that an issue amongst all the other problems, to point that at, I can think of a lot more complaints about Trump than him traveling with a young aide. So I think it was sort of below the bar. But then again, the White House's reaction was kind of despicable. It was like a bunch of frat boys defending the frat house president and lobbying these names, calling him a Democrat and all the other things, the thing about the theatrical, feminine theatrical boy. It's embarrassing that White House spokespeople are behaving this way to defend the president.
I really disagree with you, Stacey, but I think you're wrong on this one. He mentioned one word, the first name of Natalie Harper. He didn't even mention her last name. And he didn't talk about her directly. He mentioned the fact that Trump would prefer to travel on his plane with her than to do the job he's supposed to do as president. That's a factual statement. It's not below the belt, like Trump's repeated attacks on Donald Trump. What the problem that Jon Ossoff is pointing out here is that Donald Trump is obsessed about the White House ballroom. He's obsessed about the reflecting pool. He's obsessed about the gold ornaments in the Oval Office. He's not obsessed about the American people paying $4 a gallon for gasoline. He's not obsessed about rising inflation. He's not doing anything about health care and jobs jobs, the things that he's supposed to be taking care of. And that's the problem. And I think that's what Jon Ossoff is pointing out here. And I think he's exactly right to make that attack. Democrats need to stop being defensive about this stuff and start fighting back, and fighting back hard, because Trump doesn't play pussyfoot. He plays hard. And we need to fight back as well.
But it's a lame fight. Wouldn't you agree?
It's not lame. It's not lame at all.
Donald Trump threw that name in. Look, there are a million things you could complain about.
And he talked about all those things.
But to throw in the young woman,
but don't take the bait, Stacey. Don't take the bait. Just because he mentioned Natalie's name once. Trump did take the bait.
And that's their fault.
Jon Ossoff is doing exactly what Democrats need to do. They need to fight back hard and stop playing around, stop being defensive.
I mean, Trump made her an issue when he took her instead of Carolyn Levitt, who clearly has a more important job. So if anybody should be complaining about why she's a national figure, it's because of Trump's action, taking her to that decoy plane. And Natalie Harper isn't just maybe his human printer, as they also call her. Evidently, she's kind of a gateway to a lot of information. And if you want information passed to him, so perhaps he stops liking somebody, evidently she's the gatekeeper. So that makes her part of the conversation in a real way.
So let me play. This is Ossoff talking about his comments tonight and explaining a little bit more about what he meant. Listen.
Well, I've heard this particular aide referred to as his security blanket. And I think we could say that about any number of the senior aides in the White House. They're not telling him what he needs to hear. They're telling him what he wants to hear. And the president, surrounded by enablers in the West Wing, is playing golf, is trading stock, and is decorating his ballroom. It's a disgrace, all while American families in Georgia and across the country pay more for just about everything as a direct result of his failed economic policy and his failed foreign policy.
So he says what he was referring to was Harp's role as somebody who actually is there to kind of feed Trump things that he likes to hear, whether it's true or not. I also wonder, Bill, why the freak out? I mean, I've rarely seen the White House in this kind of form. And I can imagine that some of it has to do with this is actually somebody who's legitimately very important to the president, which kind of speaks to what Jon Ossoff's saying.
The follow-up there from the senator should have been an apology, because I agree. It was below the belt. The reason for the freak out,
You work for Donald Trump. You work for Donald Trump. How dare you say anything is below the belt when you work for Donald Trump in the White House?
The reason for the freak out by the Trump administration is because it was below the belt. Staff was drawn.
What about all the things Donald Trump goes below the belt.
Jon Ossoff ran for office. Donald Trump ran for office. Criticize them, put a spotlight on them, talk about them.
He just
she's
mentioned
a government
first name.
She is a government staffer.
She was on the plane with them when they left Turkey. He just mentioned it. She's a private person.
She's not a private person. If you want,
her name's never been on a ballot.
If you want to be traveling to the
You're
president,
describing her as a private person. She does work for the government.
A lot of people work for the government.
What about Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss? They're private people.
access.
Donald Trump attacked those election workers in Fulton County. They had no business being involved in his scandal.
What are we talking
but
about?
Donald Trump brought them up.
Want to talk about 2020?
I want to talk about the fact that Donald Trump repeatedly for 30 years, and definitely for the past 10 years, has attacked every single person. You work for him in the White House while he attacked people with attacks that are far lower than what Jon Ossoff said. All he did was mention one person's name. And so for you to come here and have this fake outrage about Jon
Ossoff is better than this.
You are better than SIC because you have no credibility.
No, my point also is like why.
Speaking of taking the bait, okay. Speaking of taking the bait, Jon Ossoff is running for Senate. Okay, people. He is leading, it seems, in the latest poll that we use by a lot. So he's kind of cruising, I guess, in the Senate race. And if I were a Jon Ossoff and I wanted to get a lot of attention, I would say something like this that would get me a lot of attention and get the White House to be talking about me for like 48 hours. So who's taking the bait here?
There's clearly the president took the bait. When he was asked the question in the Oval Office, what do you think? The most powerful thing he could have said is, I don't think of Jon Ossoff. That's the most powerful thing he could say. It's like, he's meaningless to me. As you said, it's not even a close race, so it's not like this neck and neck thing. The most powerful thing he could have said is, I don't think of him, and just moved on. But instead, the Pee Wee Herman thing I thought was pretty good. Just because he's a handsome guy, but he does lean towards Pee Wee. But look, I mean, this saddens me. You know, there's a clip on Facebook showing Barack Obama and John McCain and how when people ragged on each other, but they both came to each other's defense. And all the way down the road, like those days are gone, unfortunately.
Thanks to Donald Trump.
So this is not just
Well,
it's
he's
not
largely
just
responsible
Donald
for it, though.
Yes, anyone who says he's not
Right,
have
exactly.
their head in the sand. But it's a shame that look. Here's what I disagree with you on. Yes, he's obsessed about the ballroom, which he won't even use. It'll be his legacy. But you can't say he's not obsessed about Iran. You can't say affordability is just because of the war, because my mayor, Mamdani, ran on affordability before there was any war. So the affordability issue has been going on
I
way
didn't
before
say it was
Iran.
just about the war. I say the fact that he's not focused on the issues the American people are concerned about. He cares more about the ballroom than he does about inflation or gas prices.
He can't even stay
He
up for
definitely
his
cares
meetings.
about the gas prices. You know he cares about it. You know he's focused on the
What
gas
is he doing
prices.
about it? He's creating a worse crisis with it.
And also, he says the gas prices are fine. So that's actually not true, that
Well,
he's focused on the gas prices.
yes,
He sleeps through literally every meeting. We see it in real time.
This is after
And
Joe
then
Biden.
anything he
This
doesn't
is
like
after Joe Biden.
is fake news.
I never beat up on Joe Biden.
Okay,
You
Joe
can't say
Biden
that
was
about
not
Trump
sleeping in front of the public in every
we
meeting.
heard more from Donald Trump
I don't
today
know why
than Joe
you're
Biden
covering
in the
for
whole year.
somebody
I'm
who's not even
covering.
pretending.
I'm
He's not
not
pretending
covering.
to be awake in those
I guess
meetings.
here's the thing. Trump was asked a question about these Ossoff comments, and then he answered by saying, yeah, I actually do want to build the ballroom. I mean, he didn't really beat the allegations that that's where his head is at in this moment. And, I mean, he is, I guess, as recently as Friday, said he's not going to apologize for the high gas prices. I mean, this is...
Okay, but you got to, hold on. You got to flesh that out. I'm not apologizing for the gas prices because that's the cost of making America safe by taking nuclear weapons away from Iran.
Which he hasn't done.
That's the
Which he hasn't done.
but he's trying.
And he ain't doing it.
Okay, but
It
he's
ain't
trying.
working. It's not working.
Okay, it's not working.
I think
I
that
would
line
think,
is way
that
too
our
late.
troops who were there,
So-
I wouldn't offend them by saying they're not
let me-
trying.
let me
He's offending them by not helping the people in the USS
I mean, let's talk about USS
Stacey, let me
Lincoln.
ask you this, because today the Supreme Court basically said, hey, Mr. Trump, you've got to actually pay that settlement to E. Jean Carroll. It just so happens that these things are happening right at the same moment. I mean, Trump himself has this long history of allegations against him by women. He is on tape saying, you know, you can just grab them by their, you know what, you don't even have to ask. Is it legit for all these MAGA types to be clutching their pearls over Jon Ossoff saying he wants to be on a plane with Natalie?
Yeah, I mean, MAGA can be ridiculous about getting involved in, so a Democratic senator running for re-election makes a comment about Trump's personal life while he's in office, and then they go wild and they have all these things to tweet about and comment about. But do the Democrats really want to go there with that comment? I mean, that was my point from the beginning.
Do they?
Is it his personal life?
well,
Do they need to?
I mean, do they need to? They need to? I mean, Jon Ossoff has been getting attention, it seems to me, for, if you're a Democrat, for all the right things. He's talking about affordability. He's talking about corruption. Does it really help them to have even this conversation kind of overshadowing that?
I don't think it overshadows because I think he points out the contrast, that Trump is more focused on his personal life than he is on the public's life. He's more focused on what satisfies him and brings him comfort than what brings comfort to the American people. He's more focused on his $400 million jet than he is on helping the American people have their lives taken care of. And I think those are the things that Jon Ossoff is pointing out in his statement. I don't think
say about Natalie.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Natalie Harper was on the plane with Donald Trump. But the fact that he mentioned that and Donald Trump got so obsessed about it shows exactly why Jon Ossoff was
By the way,
it shows exactly why
Caroline Leavitt was not on either of the planes.
Exactly.
She was not on the first plane or the second plane.
But Natalie Harper was.
So it's not his personal life. I mean, she works for him. So are we talking? I mean, did this? Bill Clinton literally got impeached over something like
there's
this.
an assumption.
All of a sudden,
Well, that's very different,
but
though.
how is it
This is
different?
not, but there's no something like this.
Well,
Yeah.
you're
right?
saying that this is about his
that's
personal
the
life.
innuendo.
Exactly.
that
I'm not
I think
saying
people
that.
are objecting
I'm
to.
saying it's
Yeah.
really
You just said
inconsequential.
it was his personal life.
I
Well,
said,
it's what he's
I
doing
said the
with
word
the-
personal life, but
with
I
the-
didn't mean it in
know
that
that I
context.
said that.
life.
I didn't mean it in that
What
context.
She
he's
works
doing,
for him.
whether he has an aide with him all the time and she happens to be
But
pretty
she
or she
works
happens
for
to
him.
be young.
She's
I'm
on
just
the
saying,
table. She's
but
with the
we're
president.
kind of agreeing, which I'm saying the Democrats have too much going for them to have to go there. And I think he did it strategically, Ossoff, to get the attention. But he has the attention on the other issues. And when the Democrats start acting like the Republicans or acting like the Trump...
It's one word. It's one word. I don't understand the big
But it was
freak out.
strategic.
It's one word.
It was strategic. And what's the big deal? We've been talking
He
about
used
it for
one
10
word,
minutes.
and we're obsessed
We'll leave
about
it,
it.
we'll leave it there, everyone. Next for
If you guys could see the look on my face right now, you just see a look of disgust at Stacey Schneider. And it's sad because she's usually on the right side of things when I see her commentary and her perspective on CNN's Newsnight. Keith Boykin is 100% right. And I've been saying this for a very long time. I am so sick of the when they go low, we go high BS from Democrats. I'm sick of it. It's boring. It's so boring. Jon Ossoff said nothing wrong. He mentioned her name. That is it. And you always see people that are against Donald Trump and people that are Dems just fold when it comes to it. Just weak, just crumble, fall to absolute pieces. What is Stacey Schneider on about? What is Stacey? He's gone too low. Do we know the person that it is that we're talking about here? Donald Trump. Like, I genuinely can't believe, and listen, I say it all the time, that is why this channel is called what it's called. Because I am so confused as to how the entire world has allowed Donald Trump to get away with so much and to be graded on a curve, whereas everybody else is held to a completely different standard. Jon Ossoff said absolutely nothing wrong. All he said is that flies on a plane with Natalie. He didn't insinuate anything. He wasn't trying to imply anything. That's all he said. But the fact that the White House has reacted the way that it is that they've reacted, that just speaks volumes in of itself. But people like Stacey Schneider, they need to grow a spine, man. They have to grow a spine. Stop consistently being on the defensive and stand up. MAGA want to make a song and dance out of this. But when Donald Trump does something wrong, like MAGA, they stand strong. They're on the offensive. They fight. They're not defensive about what Donald Trump has done. He stands on it 10 toes, and they do as well. But it's always Dems. Oh, it's below the belt. It's too far. We don't need to do that. Everything's going for you, so just continue. What are we doing here? Grow a spine, man. I'm absolutely sick of it. Jon Ossoff never said anything wrong, and he shouldn't apologize. And I'm glad Keith Boykin called out that MAGA goons' hypocrisy, especially as someone who works for Donald Trump, given all the outrageous things that it is that he said. Trust me, MAGA can't even hide their hypocrisy no more. It's embarrassing. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. And let me just say this, I know I've been away. I haven't been as consistent as I usually am. Simply the reason, here in the UK, it's the 6 weeks holiday. My children are at home. I have to take them out to remain, to keep them engaged and keep them from not getting bored. But not long from now, they will be going back to school and I will be able to regularly upload on a regular basis. As I said to you guys, before, most of the videos on this channel get demonetized because the people, they demonetize them because of the way that I do it. So this isn't my full-time, gig. So please just bear with me. I will be back regularly uploading. All right, guys, appreciate you guys. And thank you guys for the support. We're very close to 100,000 subscribers. Love and appreciate your guys' support to get there. See you guys in the next one.